Relationship. What kind of relationship that a school needs to build? We need to understand building principal and teachers, students relationship. And the learning outcome will be students will be able to understand why to build principal and teachers, students relationship in school. What are the approaches that can be used to achieve this objective, and what will be its implications? At the end of this lesson, you will be able to, as course participants, will be able to understand the meaning of relationship, what kind of the relationships we need to build, and why we need to build some particular relationship in school. So what will be its effects on school improvement in terms of students if powerful learning? So what kind of the relationships help us to develop a culture in school that enables people to teachers and students to enhance their performance? So that's how we will try to understand. When we look at the first point, building relationship between principal and teachers, principal and staff, principal and students, teachers and students. So this is how we can make sense of building relationship. Second point is strategies to build relationships. What are the strategies in school the principal needs to build, which help the principal to develop a particular sort of relationship which are necessary for building a school culture? Third important point is, what are the implications of such kind of relationships for school improvement? So we will focus these things one by one. Let's look at the meaning of the relationship. What do you mean by relationship? When we look at this particular point, we need to understand the meaning of relationship. Here, in the context of school, relationship could be of two kinds. One is a professional relationship, another is a social relationship. When we talk about professional relationship, that is linked with the task associated with teaching and learning. The relationship, the communication, the contact, the interactions between principal and staff, principal and students, principal and teachers, is a professional type of relationship, because principal is the leader of the school. He is the head of the school, and that in the school as an organization, principal needs to develop some sort of professional engagement, professional relationship with teachers, professional relationship with other staff members, and the professional relationship with parents, professional relationship with students. So that's we need to understand how a principal should interact with teachers, students, other staff members, and parents. What kind of a school culture this professional relationship, as a result of this professional relationship, is developing in the school. And when we look at the social, because human are there in the school, they have their some needs in the school. So you need to be a kind of humanistic approach to use in the school, because this humanistic approach develops a kind of social interactions, and that social interaction is a must in the school in order to create a culture that is conducive, that is very much healthy culture. Within that, a kind of trust and respect must be there in the school. So that sort of social relationships are necessary. So we need to understand, when we talk about relationship between principal and staff, principal and the teachers, principal and the students and others, we need to understand what kind of relationship. And that is basically a professional relationship, a social relationship. So we need to understand this relationship in these two dimensions. There may be some other dimensions, but the most important factors which we need to focus on in the context of school in order to improve the school, so we need to focus on two sort of relationships. But the next question is, what kind of relationships do organizations like school really need to build? Here is uh, you know, an important point to note, that is, because of the nature of a school, you need to understand a fine mix of both professional and social relationships. As a professional person, you need to develop some sort of criteria to look at the performance of the teachers, to look at the performance of the other staff members. So that sort of relationship is important in organizations like school, like other organizations. So that's why you need to maintain a fine mix of both relationships, social as well as professional relationships. Why these relationships matter in the lives of the school, people in the school? Because you need to create a culture, you need to develop school as a place of learning. So for that, you have to understand the importance of professional relationship and the importance of social relationship, so as to create a school culture. So that's how you can understand the meaning of the relationship. A relationship, because a relationship is framed within a particular culture of the school. Without creating a culture, without understanding the importance of a culture, your relationship could not be so healthy. So you need to be very much clear about how to develop this relationship. You need to be look at the particular culture of the school. What kind of the culture in your school? How you have to frame that culture so that could boost healthy relationships among all staff members, among all stakeholders. So that's you very important to understand. If you have a healthy relationship, so that healthy relationship among all stakeholders, including students, teachers, parents, community members, principal, and all those staff members, if everyone is engaged, if everyone has a very positive relationship, so that positive relationship helps school to improve. So that's why relationships are very important in the context of school life. We were talking about culture. So what is the meaning of culture? That's, as Sir Giovanni talks about, it's a normative glue to hold school together. Culture is a normative glue. It's like a normative glue, a kind of thing that attaches everyone in school together as a whole. So that's how you can understand the meaning of culture, school culture. A school culture consists of beliefs, attitudes, and behavior. What are these particular sort of things which as a normative glue stick everyone together? Those are beliefs, those are your attitudes, those are the behavior of the teachers, those are the behavior of the students, those are the behavior of the principal, those are the behavior of the people, stakeholders, parents, everyone who are attached with the notions of the teaching and learning in school. So that's how you can understand the meaning of relationship, the meaning of culture, and the meaning, what is the clear meaning of the beliefs, attitudes, and behavior in the context of the school life. So we need to understand school culture and relationship in three ways. When we define the culture, that could be a very positive culture, that could be a negative culture, and that could be a very toxic culture. Here we try to understand what is the meaning of a positive culture in school. Positive culture is a professionally and collegially open to grow, open to improve our own capacities. That is how you can understand the meaning of positive culture. A culture that allows everyone to grow with the passage of time, to develop their own capacities, to develop their knowledge, to develop their skills. A culture that helps everyone to trust each other, to care each other, and build bridges between the staff members, and develop a collegial environment there. So if this sort of situation exists in school, this means that you have a very positive relationships. You have a very positive culture, school culture, that enables you to develop you professionally, that helps you to deal as a colleagues, that enables you to improve yourself, that helps you to share your experience, your ideas with each other, that is there to trust people, the trust between teachers and principal, the trust between students and teachers, the trust between parents and school. So there is a caring environment. The people are taking care of each other. So they build bridges. So if this sort of environment exists in school, this means that you have a very positive culture in school. If this sort of situation is not there, if there are, a kind of naysayers, worries, lack of trust, people are doubtful about each other, and there is a drain energy, you become frustrated. So there is no, hopelessness, fear. This sort of situation is there. This means that your school has a negative culture. And at the same time, when this negative culture becomes more worsened, so that becomes toxic. So because there is a poor, ineffective sort of situation is there. Your communication is even verbal. There is no, written rules and regulations are there. So your body language is negative. You feel antagonistic. You feel, a kind of hostile situations, unfriendly environment is there. So if this sort of situation is there, that is a toxic culture. These two, negative and toxic, are very unhealthy for a school to improve. So you need to understand this relationship. If the school culture is negative, if the school culture is toxic, your relationship, the relationship between principal and teachers, between teachers and students, between school and parents, and with everyone will be worsened. That will, affect very badly on student performance. So you need to, and your relationship with each other will be very negative. So that's how you can understand school culture and the relationship. So if this principal is head of the school, if this principal is school leader, understands these sort of situations and try to build a very positive culture in school, your relationship will be very productive. That will help to improve your school. So here we will look at this sort of situation, this positive culture of the school, and the relationship must be on the notions of continuous improvement. When you look at this positive culture with the lens of continuous improvement of the school, then you can understand what kind of the actions, what kind of the strategies that a principal needs to develop. The first important strategy a principal needs to develop in order to build relationships, those are based on continuous improvement of the school, the notions of continuous school improvement. So the first thing is that define results to be measured. You need to um, come up with a very professional relationship. So that defines you have a relationship with everyone is based on the results that that can be measured, the measurable results. You need to you need to look at the results that the teachers and other staff members uh, have to uh, have to provide the results, and those results must be measurable results. Your second thing you need to understand is identify data that is required and the resource and the sources from where this data comes. So if you talk about a student's progress, you must have the data. Based on data, you need to talk about the student. Without data, without sources, if you show your performance this and that doesn't make any sense. So you need to be very clear about um, based on data you have to talk about the progress and the problems of the students. The third important step is review existing assessment methods. What kind of the assessment approaches that the school is using in relation to students learning, in relation to teachers effective teaching approaches. So you have to review those existing procedures of assessment, student assessment and the teachers evaluations, etc. The fourth step, important step we need to understand is define additional methods and measures. What kind of additional actions as a principal you need to in place, you need to put in place in school? What are the steps you have to take in order to put your efforts for continuous improvement of the school, continuous improvement in teaching learning conditions, continuous improvement in building relationships, continuous improvement in developing a very positive culture in school? So what are those additional methods and the measures you need to take? The fifth and last important point is implement and evaluate. Whatever you think about continuous improvement of the school, so those things you need to thoroughly look at, reflect on those things, and then you have to implement and evaluate. If you think this is a wonderful idea for school improvement and you apply that idea in school, and look at what the results that idea gives you. If you evaluate those results, if you look at the outcome of those ideas which you have implemented in your school, and after evaluating, if you are not satisfied with the results, then you need to review, you need to revisit those things, and then again define results to be measured, and you can go in a very cyclical manner. In this way, you can build a very positive relationships which are professional as well as social. So that's how you can understand this important notion of relationships on the basis of the continuous improvement. Here, when you look at all these kind of the things, uh, when a principal needs to build relationships, the most important factor here is the professional relationship, and the professional relationships are based on the uh, you know engagement of your evaluation of the teachers, evaluation of the students, and based on the data that gives you a kind of evidence, and that evidence with a clear criteria, what to look at, how to assess, what to assess, how to assess, and why to assess something. So when you are very much clear about understanding this mm, assessment and evaluation in the context of school, you will have a very clear idea to create a very positive culture in school. So that is based on continuous improvement of your learners, the improvement of your students, the improvement of your teachers in their teaching conditions. So that's how you need to develop teachers evaluation criteria. If you come up with a clear teachers evaluation criteria, so your professional relationships will be very strong, and at the same time you will have a very positive social relationships in the school as a very conducive environment, developing a very healthy culture, a very positive culture in school. So this is how you can understand what kind of this criteria is important. So, and in the next class, we will thoroughly discuss how can we develop a teacher's evaluation criteria, why we need to understand this evaluation in the context of building a very healthy environment in school. That relationship is important for enhancing the performance of the students. So in the next class, we will look at why this is important to develop a criteria for teachers evaluation, and how that helps to build positive relationships among the staff members in the school.